bless his family and those that remain. And thank you for the time we got to spend with him. Amen.
Thank you. All right, I'm not much of a public speaker, but I'm going to let Mr. Jeff here say a few words.
Oh, no.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
Jeff,
I'll spare you with that.
The sieve.
One thing I do want to mention before we pass the mic around for tributes, if anyone is so inclined. We've got a little sign-up sheet on the table that has all the flowers over there. What that sheet is for is we have, we're going to be making hockey jersey embroidered patches. One for JJ and one for our other fallen hockey comrade, Rob George, who passed away just this past week, a year ago. Anyways, if you're interested in one or more or both of those embroidered patches, please fill out the form. I don't know what the costs are. Those sheets are over on that table. That same table that has all the flowers, if you're so inclined, please take a flower. Take a flower home. It's just another way we want to pay tribute to JJ, because as most of you know, he was an extraordinary gardener, a master gardener. So much so that at one point they filmed a television commercial in his garden. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say right now. Don't worry, I'll be back up here at some point with some kind of story or remembrance on JJ. But if anybody would like to start off the evening with a tribute, a remembrance, a story, come on up.
And although I lived at the corner of Canyon and Chester from 1975 till 1978, I didn't meet JJ until I started playing in the Kevin Sullivan Hockey League in 1981. And then for the last 10 years probably of the Thursday night skate, I was the one who always picked up JJ every Thursday night and took him to hockey. And JJ was just the nicest, kindest, most gentle person you would ever meet. I treasure the memories of JJ. He was such a fine person. Great gardener, beautiful gardener, and we will miss him. But I have one funny story I can tell, and it involves hockey, of course. Thursday night in the last few years of the Kevin Sullivan League, there were a group of us who had a beer tasting every night after hockey. And these young guys, you know, they're into craft beers, and all these craft beer people, they love hops, right? You know, you can't have too much hops. Huma Lupalicious and all these high IPA hop brands. So one night, somehow when JJ maybe didn't have a Blatz or a Hams available, IPA. And the next week, when I picked him up, he said, well, you know all those hoppy beers that you had Thursday night? Well, I went home Thursday night and had a glass of milk, went to bed, and the next morning I got up and realized and sniffed the milk and realized it was sour, but because of all these hops in the beer, I didn't know what I was drinking. So anyway, that's my funny story about JJ. God bless him.
Jimmy, as he was probably best known by us, was a person of excellence. In his landscape work, he consistently gave 100%, doing every job carefully, keeping a good portion of our neighborhood well manicured, and even going beyond the times, bringing the debris from the job to his own home for disposal. He worked long hours. He was also known for snow removal, sometimes under the worst of conditions. He always sought to please his customers. He took pride in his work. The community benefited from his efforts. From the earlier days, delivering the community newsletter in all kinds of weather, helping drivers stuck in the snow, putting up dazzling Christmas displays, and distributing goodies to the children on Halloween. He continued, faithfully attending the community meetings, participating in various cleanup projects, calling the proper organization when he saw something wrong, and offering help when he saw a need without being asked. He offered a listening ear. And if you did ask for something, you knew he would follow through for anything in return. He dealt with unpleasant circumstances persistently. In his personal life, he had great love for his family, cared for his mother, and had a tremendous appreciation of nature and astronomy. He adopted his beloved cat, called the Boss at times, from the streets and doted on him. Cats, many of which he had a name for, and birds, would always find food set out for them. And squirrels, bees, hummingbirds, and sometimes a rare bird, and butterflies were no strangers to his yard and garden, which he tended with a passion. He would occasionally notice a drooping plant on sale at Lowe's, bring it home, and with his green thumb it was soon healthy and beautiful. Another interest was photography. He would get the best camera he could afford. I'm sure as you know, it's just the right angle and light, and the results would compete with the professionals. He enjoyed sports, baseball, football, racing. One of his prized possessions was a photo he had taken of Paul Newman at a race. Dabbled with golf, could never get enough fishing, whether on the canal or lake or ice fishing, and hockey, which he had played for many years to the present, looking forward to twice a week, and at one point, 3 times a week games, where he served as goalie. He liked music and movies and had some favorite TV programs. You could always depend on Jimmy, and so as we remember his wonderful qualities, his intelligence, sense of humor, his life of service, and deal with our grief and sense of loss, we strive to comfort ourselves that he is in warmth, light, love, appreciation, and peace through the great sacrifice of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Owen. I know Jimmy probably a good 40 years of hockey, probably 25 years of fishing, and because of that, our lives intertwined. In the world of hockey, I knew him early years, middle years, but not too much in the late years, due to some afflictions that bothered me from Vietnam, and I had to kind of limit my hockey. But Jimmy had 2 things he valued that our time was shared together with. One of them was hockey, one of them was fishing. Fishing led to talk, talk was conversation, conversation usually went around hockey, pictures, fish, birds, bumblebees, catching his own worms. He was an arborist, he liked to grow plants. He talked about the games, but he was a goalie, and he was pretty good at one thing. If he had a game when he got shelled 6-1, he was pretty good about putting it out of his mind. The next week, he'd tell me that he won the first 2 caption of how he played. And he wrote the high and low of his accomplishments on hockey. On fishing, he couldn't get enough of it. I was his escape into the suburbs to fish. He needed an escape. He had a lot of headaches down there where he was. He had a client base of customers that was nothing less than ruthless and very weak in the accounts payable department. I would take him fishing. Jimmy loved fishing. His sister brought his poles to me last week. I knew they were Jimmy's, because all of them had broken tips. He didn't know how to clean a fish. He wouldn't eat a fish. And he loved catching fish and just being around the water. I bought him a little rowboat and a little electric trolling motor so he could putt around my canal system. And I called the boat SS Jimmy. When I say it was a little rowboat, it was a 10-footer. When Jimmy sat in it, his pannier hit the damn stern and his foot almost hit the bow. Well, he had a little motor and he could guide himself around with his poles and fish under this tree, fish by this dock. And when he come to my house, I had a rule. I says, Jimmy, you got 3 hours of lawn labor over here, you got 9 hours of fishing. He said, let's get the work done first. He loved fishing. And fishing, his mother, Dad Richardson, friends, we knew him as Jimmy's family called him Jimmy. In the personal, and he didn't like this name I hung on him, I called him Jimmy One Fish. He used to get mad when I called him Jimmy One Fish. He says, what the hell's that Jimmy One Fish all about? I don't like it. Guys in hockey are starting to call me Jimmy One Fish. I said, well, the explanation is, Jimmy, it takes you a long time to catch the first one, and then I can't even shut you off with darkness, because basically you didn't want to go home. Anyway, he was my buddy, Jimmy One Fish, and I'm gonna miss him, probably more than the rest of you, and a lot of tall tale stories were conversed between me and him, and he was one hell of a guy. And anyone that has